So the other night, I was falling asleep to my audiobook that I always fall asleep to. It's either some space fucking story or...
Space Jam?
Yes. I was thinking that too. The soundtrack to Space Jam.
Yes.
Or Whoever Fights Monsters.
Yes.
That book we love.
The best.
Falling asleep, couldn't fall asleep, listening, and I was like, wait, what's this? About this case.
Had you never heard of it before?
I think I'd heard about it. Like some people on the Facebook group had written about it here and there, so I'd maybe heard about it. And also Mindhunter, even though the show, there's like a couple cases that are similar, it's not one of them. But I was like intrigued. What's up? Let's do this.
Okay.
So in June of 1973, the Jaeger family of Farmington, Michigan, they go camping at a campground in Montana's Waterhead State Park. It's near the small town of Manhattan, Montana, right?
Yeah.
Near Montana. It's their first it's their first stop on a month-long trip. They're going like, we're going to this is our first like family camping trip and we're going to drive and all this shit, all the fun stuff that is fun when you're a kid. So that night, the parents tuck their 5 children into the kids' tent.
Oh, no.
Uh-huh. But...
just those words alone.
Uh-huh. But 3 are teenagers. 3 of the kids are teenagers, and then 2 are grade schoolers. So they're like, great. They're together. They're safe. They should be safe, right?
Yep.
They fucking should be.
Yeah. And also it's the 70s where not only are they together and safe, but some people would be like, yeah, you can leave them alone for 4 months.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Give them a pack of cigarettes, a carton, maybe.
You're all good. Yeah.
So that morning around 4 a.m., one of the teens in the tent, this Heidi Jaeger, wakes up and notices that her little sister, 7-year-old Susie, is not in the tent any longer. And not only that, there's a fucking slash through the side of the tent.
No.
Uh-huh.
And there's a hook hand hanging on the top of it. Fuck. This is urban myth shit.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
She fucking flips out, wakes her parents up. No one in the tent, none of her siblings had heard a freaking thing. They had just were fast asleep. Authorities are called. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say the first thing somebody slowly slashing that tent open. Quietly.
The little rip of the fucking fibers.
Quietly and slowly.
It wasn't a quick, fast one.
So much scarier than a fast one.
I didn't think of that, and now I want to cry.
Yeah, me too. Okay.
And turn around, there's a fucking wall mural of a fucking forest behind you, like where they were camping.
Fuck, okay.
Oh my God. Okay. Authorities are called, immediately. They find footsteps leading away from the tent. So the FBI is called so at the time, the FBI would only get involved in kidnapping cases if there was a possibility that they were taken across state lines.
Yeah.
Which is fucking bananas. So they're called because maybe that was going to be a thing. I don't know. And then ensues the biggest search at the time in Montana history. They fucking drug the river bottom. They had helicopters circling. They did all this crazy shit, but Susie could not be found. I think a couple days later, one random call, ransom call came in.
Oh.
But saying we want this much money, we'll give her back. We'll call back with details, but no call came back.
Just the one call?
We'll call you about the ransom. Nothing came back. So almost a year later, the case is fucking stalled, and Special Agent Pete Dunbar, he is an agent in the FBI's Montana office. Mm-hmm. He's attending a training session led by Howard Teton and Patrick Mullaney. These 2 dudes are developing the FBI's newly formed behavioral science unit.
Oh, hell yeah.
Hi.
That's right.
Exactly.
Hello.
Hello, Mindhunter.
Hi. You guys are the ones that are thinking that maybe all these guys have something in common.
Right. Maybe if we study and interview thousands of murders and murderers, we'll get something.
Yeah.
So before the units even was created, there's not a lot known about criminal profiling, and their goal was to bring public awareness to the psychology of murder and behavioral analysis. This Agent Dunbar dude is like, please take a look at this case. We need your help. Which is like so big of him because back then there were so few. I feel like that was not a thing where you like asked for help from other
No, that was a huge deal.
Right.
That's why in that show, those parts were so good because it'd be like, they would come to talk about one thing, and there'd be the guy that would hang behind and be like, can I ask you a question? Yeah, they all did. Yeah. It was almost like they had to make sure no one knew.
It was like emasculating by asking for help.
Right.
Right. Okay. So this, although, Teton and Mulaney have been studying this stuff for a long fucking time. This turns into the first real case where they get to use their behavioral analysis.
Oh.
So this is the first case where this is used in real life. IRL, as they would say later.
LOL.
LOL, IRL, FBI, OMG. Crazy. Okay, so the three of them together, the three agents, they profile the case based on their studies and come to the conclusion that whoever had taken Susie, so this was their profile of him, they come upon the family during a habitual night prowl and impulsively took her by cutting through the tent. So it was not planned, but he was doing his like fucking rounds of maybe. He'd spotted an opportunity and acted. He appeared to be, they thought he was a young white male, a loner, lived not far from the campsite. So a local. They thought he had military experience because the fact that he fucking broke into this tent and pulled a person out without anyone hearing it is so stealth. It's creepy.
Yeah.
And he had killed before and possibly since.
Ooh.
This is like a year after her kidnapping. And then they were like, listen, Susie's probably dead too. That they were like, this is part of it. And that they said that he also probably collected trophies from the victim. So before these two had been called in, an informant had called and suggested that his neighbor, David Meerhofer, should be looked at. It was his neighbor. He's fucking creepy. Like one of those, like, this guy's weird. You should look at him, which usually we scoff at because we're like, weirdos are not killers. You know? So David Meerhofer is a 23-year-old Vietnam vet who Agent Dunbar actually knew personally. He said, quote, David was well-groomed, courteous, and exceptionally intelligent. He was the gentlest of persons, too.
Oh.
Murderer, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a good sign.
Look. And he was innocent. Moving on to the real suspect.
Yes.
No, I'm not doing that.
We know that that's not how it works on Law and Order.
So the local FBI law enforcement had questioned David and that he was polite, well dressed, really helpful. So they didn't think it was him. He had even taken a polygraph test and taken truth serum and had fucking passed both flying fucking colors.
Okay.
Do we believe him? No.
Oh, okay, no.
Oh, you do. You did.
Well, I was just thinking.
Okay, maybe. He did it. I just want to let he's the killer. I just want to let everyone know. I know.
Because the one of my theories was going to be at that time, Vietnam vets were shat upon in this country.
And had bad PTSD.
Had PTSD, but also were judged by others.
But not by law enforcement. I think they respected Vietnam vets.
Oh, I guess I'm just saying the person that would call in and be like, this guy, you know what I mean? Yeah, baby killer. It's that shit that was like,
right.
They really attacked people for that. And so I was thinking maybe that was like, oh, he's violent because he was made to go into the army.
Sure, but that doesn't mean he did it.
Okay. Well, that's a real relief.
I'm not like spoiling. It's like I'm only talking about him as a suspect. I love it. It's fine. Okay, so Mulaney and Teton had seen, but so now these two profilers come in and they use their fucking tactics and they're like, show us all the suspects you had. They read his chart and they're like, I'm sorry, this guy, it doesn't fucking matter. They thought that he was a psychopath and he would have no problem passing a polygraph test, which they had never heard of before this.
Yes.
Because he was he was able to disassociate himself from the person who had killed someone.
Yes.
So he was like, it's not fucking me. And so I'm not lying because I am not that person.
Right. And also the thing I love about psychopaths, they don't get nervous.
Right.
They don't get nervous.
Yeah.
They don't have stress reactions to things.
When I watched the old YouTube, it was one of those like old true crime shows where they had there was like an FBI head guy who was the narrator.
Yeah.
So there was no charisma whatsoever.
Because he was the real guy.
Because he was the real guy.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a fucking
actor.
Charming, journalist.
Dennis Farina type.
Yeah, like a journalist.
Sure.
They said like, you know, they believed polygraph tests implicitly. So this was like brand new as well.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. Currently exhibiting. They thought he was the killer for sure. These two dudes, Mulaney and Teton, but everyone else was like, hell fucking no, you're wrong. Even Dunbar, they were like, dude, it's not him. That was a quote, a direct quote. Then they're able to convince the Jaegers, the fucking mother and father of Susie. Now they're back in Michigan. They said, okay, we think this is the kind of killer that will contact you again. Because they want to be part of the investigation. It's the kind of thing where they want to be friends with cops.
Yeah.
Which fucking David Meyerhofer was. Chatty with cops.
Just like our boy Ed Kemper.
Exactly. They think that the kind of killer wants to insert themselves in the investigation and stay part of the victims' lives and continue to inflict pain.
So gross.
I know.
Okay.
So they're like, let's put a tape recorder with your phone and let's set up a tap. And they're like, hell yeah. All right. Meanwhile, Susie's mother, Marietta, she's a devout Catholic. And initially she says that she was, quote, ravaged with hatred and a desire for revenge. And that also she could have killed the man, quote, with my bare hands and a smile on my face.
Yeah.
Which are like, girl.
Yes.
Absolutely.
100%.
Then she was like, as a devout Catholic, though, she's like, she says she understood that her hatred was going to fucking kill her. And she says, I, quote, I was called to forgive my enemies, not to kill them. So I made the commitment to work toward an attitude of forgiveness. And so through that year, she was able to come to terms and start praying for whoever took her daughter, even if it was like, maybe he's alive. So I'm praying for, you know, good weather that day. Or I'm praying, you know, she started kind of opening her heart to him, which is beyond incredible. Okay. Yeah. Exactly 1 year to the fucking day, and Karen, to the fucking minute.
No.
3:30 in the morning, a call comes in.
Oh.
To the minute.
Ugh.
Okay. So the kidnapper calls the Jaegers. Okay, so Marietta answers the phone, and initially the caller tries to fuck with her and is like, your daughter's still alive. We've been traveling the world, and you'll never see her again, all this bullshit. But Marietta was unfuckwithable, and she fucking, instead of being intimidated, she spoke to him with compassion and patience. And she told him she prayed for him every day and that she forgave him. And he fucking burst into tears and starts fucking weeping.
On the phone?
Holy
shit.
The call ends up being a fucking hour long, and they're talking.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I am not fucking kidding you.
And then what, he confesses?
Not yet.
Okay. This is nutso.
I know. Okay, so they get an FBI voice analyst, says the caller is definitely Miss David Meyerhofer for sure, but that is circumstantial evidence. It's not sufficient to obtain a probable cause search warrant of David's house. And then, so this is crazy to me. And it makes me sad. So, Agent Mulaney says that the caller, quote, could be woman dominated. Meaning it could be dominated by a female somehow. So he says to Marietta Jaeger, do us a favor, come back to Montana where your fucking 7-year-old daughter was fucking kidnapped, and have a face-to-face conversation.
Whoa.
With David Meyerhofer. She jumped on a fucking plane, and I'm like, I hope they fucking paid for that plane ticket. Can you imagine?
There's no way she paid for that.
I know, but how fucking crazy would that be?
No.
I know. But still.
She should have gone on like fucking Air Force One.
Yeah.
First class. That'd be a little crazy, but
yeah, then it'd be like a waste of taxpayers' money.
Chartered plane.
Right. Yeah. Just first class.
Something.
Give her a meal on the way.
Oh my God. This woman.
I know. So she meets David Meyerhofer at his lawyer's office, begs him to tell her about Susan. He fucking clamps up. He won't talk. He's unmoved. He denies it. They're in there for an hour, and finally it's like, this isn't working. So she leaves. She goes back home to Michigan, and then David calls her again. This time he says something else, like, like, oh, hey, he says, my name is Mr. Travis. I'm the one who did it. Like, trying to fucking trick her. Like, I'm the one who did it. It's not this other guy. And then Marietta goes, what's up? Like, what's up, David? And he fucking loses his shit. She's just like, hi, David.
Wow.
She fucking knows it.
She knows.
And he loses his shit. So by this time, though, the FBI is finally able to trace the call, and they arrest him, trace the call to him. You know, and now they have enough evidence for a search warrant. In his home, police discover everything's fine. Open the freezer. Human remains.
No. God.
There's packages that look like, I guess they look like deli packages, you know?
Yeah, like the pink paper.
Yeah. And labeled with the initials of who the pieces belong to. Not only do they belong to Susie, one of the packages contained a hand, like an entire hand with nails, identified as a woman named Sandra Smolligan. Sandra was a 19-year-old woman who had disappeared in 1974, so like after Susie. Her remains had been found incinerated in the woods near an abandoned ranch. And it was known, and he had been questioned, that she had refused a second date with David Meerhofer.
Fuck.
But after he volunteered, he at that time, way before all this, had volunteered to take a polygraph test, and again, fucking passed it. So they were like, it's probably not him. But then they find her fucking hand in the freezer, and they're like, it's him.
Yeah.
So after the search and his arrest, David Meerhofer confesses to killing both Susie and Sandra. He said that Sandra had, here's the fucking bullshit of the day. He fucking says that Sandra had died of suffocation when he had broken into her apartment. She's sleeping. He was going to kidnap her and like keep her. He puts duct tape over her face, goes to pack her bag, and realizes that he had accidentally put it over her nose too, and she had suffocated from the duct tape.
Why bother lying like that? Come on, everybody.
Because then you don't seem like such a monster.
To yourself. But everybody else still thinks you're a big asshole.
Right,
so.
But he had incinerated her body, so no one could tell, you know? That's so crazy. Quick sidebar, weird fact. In 2005, a crew was doing some remodeling work on a garage, the fucking building thing. And they tore into a wall to like change out the wall and found a wallet, identification, and a small wire-bound notebook that belonged to Sandra.
Okay.
30 fucking years later, which is like...
My dream come true. My dream come goddamn true.
Let's rip all the walls out of this apartment. It's a new build. It doesn't matter. Let's fucking do it. Anyways, here's more horrible things. So he had tried to kidnap her, blah, blah, blah. She died, incinerated her body. That's for Sandra. Okay. Then David Meerhofer is like, but wait, there's more. He confesses to the unsolved killing of 2 local boys. March 1967, 13-year-old Bernard Pullman is playing with a friend in a creek in Manhattan, Montana. So at the time, David Meerhofer is a high school senior, and Bernard, this kid's older brother, was a classmate that David had fought with. David drives by, sees the little brother, fucking pulls over, takes his fucking .22 out of his car, hides behind some bushes, and fucking shoots Bernard through the fucking heart as he's playing.
Fuck.
Yeah. And then in May 1968, and this is 5 years before Susie had been kidnapped and murdered, This is like 10 miles from where that had happened. A Boy Scout named Michael Rainey, he's 12 years old. He was sleeping in his tent at this Boy Scout retreat, and his tent mate, who was in the fucking tent with him, wakes up to find him dead. He had been struck on the head and stabbed to death while he had been sleeping.
No.
Yeah. It's fucking crazy. David said he had randomly killed the boys because he was pissed that he had randomly killed that kid because he had been pissed that he had been fired from being involved in the Boy Scouts.
Wow.
I know. Wow. Which is like so problematic in your fucking thinking. Okay. I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
He's a murderer. All right. As for lovely little Susie Jaeger, David said he had taken her to an abandoned ranch and choked her to death. After he had kept her, I think, for a little while in a closet, like a week. I know. Then he dismembered her and burned her pieces, burned her up. But of course, we don't know what happened for sure because
this is just all him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So David Meerhofer, who Tetton and Mulaney believed had schizopathy, right? Which is a mix of psychopathy and simple schizophrenia. That's what they think he had. This was the case. This case was the first case solved by offender profiling. This was the first fucking case where these two dudes, not the guys from Mindhunter, but very similar.
Yeah.
And there actually is a book called Mindhunter, and that's what it's based on.
Yep.
Whatever. Okay. So this is the first case solved by that. They believe that his motive had been the thrill of killing for sport. So he's just a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
So they couldn't interview him further because that night when he fucking confessed to everything at like early morning hours, they walk him back to his cell and he fucking hangs himself with a fucking towel that was in the cell with him.
Yeah.
Of course he does.
Yeah.
But wait, I'm not ending it on that because I'm not a fucking asshole. So that was September 29th. He's 25 years old. David Meerhofer hangs himself. Fuck you. Okay. What?
Fuck you.
I'm not as good as Marietta.
No,
my heart.
May we all strive to be that way. And in the meantime, fuck you, dude.
All right. So back to Marietta. In the early 1990s, Marietta Jaeger co-founds a group called Journey of Hope, dots, from violence to healing. Dots. That's a colon.
It's a colon.
It's absolutely a colon.
I also think the word earlier is pronounced psychopathy.
I knew I was getting it wrong.
But when I read it, I read psychopathy too.
You're totally right. Psychopathy.
But it's like, that's the people who study it are the ones who say it that way. I wasn't going to correct you.
And you don't hear it that much anymore. It seems like an old term, right? Mm-hmm. Yes. No, I'm glad you corrected me because I was like, psychopathy?
Yeah.
No. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So Marietta, now in her late 70s, works with family members of murder victims and lectures at universities, schools, churches, fucking around the entire country, and also like went to the Hague and shit.
Whoa.
To fucking argue for certain things. So she's in her late 70s. She fucking is like telling everyone what. She works with the survivors so they don't end up, quote, giving the offenders another victim themselves.
Yes.
Because that whole thing of like, this hate is going to consume you.
Yes.
So she's like, here's how to forgive. It's not, I'm making this part up, but it's not for them. You're not forgiving them for them. You forgive them for yourself because you can't have that.
100%.
Yeah.
It's so true. And I think it's also it's everybody's kind of overarching goal, because we all have things we're mad about. We all have bitterness, and we all think
it doesn't affect that other person at all.
Nope.
Unless you bitch slap them once a day, like it doesn't even
but even
affect
then,
them.
it feels terrible.
Right. And you're angry.
I've had a couple dreams where there was one person I was very mad at for a long time, and I would have dreams about slapping her face. And when I woke up, I was so relieved that I didn't actually do it, because it feels terrible.
Yeah.
Like making yourself feel terrible in an effort in the name of vengeance. Yeah, but that's high level recovery, fucking Buddhist shit.
Yeah, don't be mad at yourself if you're not there yet.
No
this is
way.
Some serious fucking.
That's the hardest. I feel like that's long-term goals.
Yeah,
long-term goals.
And we're talking about someone who fucking made out with our boyfriend, not someone who fucking murdered our 7-year-old daughter. Yeah.
A child.
Yeah. So listen.
So it's even
baby
more.
steps.
It's even more.
Just self-care. Okay. Marietta is also an advocate against the death penalty. She says, quote, "I would not honor the goodness and sweetness and beauty of my little girl's life by killing someone in their name." And then she says she's worthy of a more honorable memorial than a cold-blooded state-sanctioned killing of a defenseless person, however deserving of death that person may be. Which, agree or disagree, that's a beautiful fucking statement. And you can't argue with someone who's talking about the killer of their daughter. You're like, no, you're wrong, and here's why.
No, there's no arguing that, because that's first person experience.
Exactly.
Yeah. So anybody else, look, everybody obviously grieves and processes in their own way. But that concept, it's a reframing of looking at it, which is, you really are doing it self-righteously in the name of the person who was killed.
Exactly.
But then it's like she's making you rethink that, which is brilliant and really amazing.
Are you ready for to go to practice what you preach town?
Yes.
Are you ready to fucking visit it and go there and stay there for a holiday?
You mean the peace place?
Yeah. You ready to go to the Hague?
Place for peace?
To practice what you Hague? So after David's suicide, Marietta reaches out to David Muirhofer, the fucking killer of her daughter.
Yeah.
Reaches out to David Muirhofer's mother.
Yes, because she's a victim too.
And in the years following his suicide, the moms together accompanied each other's children's graves.
No.
And she said, quote, "Together we were able to grieve as mothers who had lost their children. I hoped that it would help her to know that I had forgiven him." I know.
Holy fucking shit.
I know.
What? Say her name again.
Marietta Jaeger.
Wow.
Yeah. I think she wrote a book too, but the group is called Journey of Hope. And it's it's fucked up. It's crazy.
I can't because you've seen that. We've all seen that on true crime shows where the family of the perpetrator is horrified and they are in this strange bubble of,
and they have this shame and humiliation,
guilt by association.
And this what could I have done to prevent this? And
they often are the victims. Subject of so much hatred,
right? But probably maybe were victimized by the perpetrator themselves.
Yes. God damn, that's high level human work right there. Marietta Jaeger. Fuck.
Yep. And that's that.
Wow, Georgia, that was amazing.
Thank you.